Hello, this is Professor JPS, and this is a continued lecture for Communication Arts 101, Section 1. This is a review for the exam Wednesday, March 23rd. Even though today is Friday, March 19th, I'm just doing it a little early, okay? This is part 2, and we're going to be discussing television, the television chapter. In terms of the textbook, I'd like you to take a look at pages 368 and 369. Again, that's the timeline of television, the history of television. You don't have to memorize everything in that section. Just look over what it has to talk about. That way you'll absorb a little bit about the history of television while you're looking at more specific things that I'm interested in testing you on. Okay? So 368, 369, just read it over. You don't have to actually memorize that stuff. In terms of information that's pertinent to the test, page 374, commercial and non-commercial stations. The definitions are right on the sidebar, and I want you to think about how commercial stations work and make their money, and how non-commercial stations differ. Commercial stations, of course, are any cable and network television programming and also streaming, and non-commercial stations are public broadcasting, or perhaps things like C-SPAN or public TV, like channel 13 in New York, but it's Sesame Street and the children's programming, and then things on radio with news and maybe entertainment and history and science and nature, that kind of stuff. Those things are not commercial stations. They're not in business to make money. They're in educational and edification businesses, okay? Or not really businesses at all. And they do not have commercial advertising, okay? That's a key difference. Page 375, network affiliates. Network affiliates are the local version of the national network. The local version of the national network. So, pardon me, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, the local version out of New York, is owned and operated by the people from that local affiliate, okay? The national network produces programming that's put on television. The local version shows it to their particular area, their particular market, okay? The other key idea from the television chapter has to do with ratings and shares. Now, the ratings and shares aspects we discussed with a handout in class, and I went on the blackboard and described how ratings and shares are very, very important. Just a quick reminder, when you look through your notes, think of it this way. There's a corporation called the Nielsen Corporation that every day measures how many people are watching television. They put a wire into people's cable box to see what it is that they're watching, but that measurement is called a survey sample, and it's usually very small, just 5,000 people or so to represent the entire country. And the 5,000 people that are represented are demographically chosen from across all walks of life. It's a statistical estimate as to how many people are actually watching television. It's not a perfect number. It's a very carefully mathematically made guess as to how many people are actually watching television. The Nielsen Corporation does this every day for the networks, okay? Now, you may remember we wrote on the blackboard, a television rating is not how many people are watching television exactly. A television rating is how many people are watching a particular program out of the amount of people in the Nielsen survey sample size. Okay? The share is how many people are watching a television show out of the amount of televisions that are actually in use or on in the survey sample size. So one measurement is measuring how many people are watching television out of the entire survey sample size, and one measurement is measuring how many people are watching television within the amount of televisions that are actually on at the time of the survey sample, against the competition of what's on television. Those numbers are important because what those numbers do is determine how high a show, how the ratings are, and it determines how much it can charge advertisers to have their ads put on television programming. And 4 times a year, the commercial television stations and the advertisers meet to discuss how much money it's going to cost for commercials. Those are called sweeps weeks or sweeps months. And sweeps months are February, May, August, and November. So the networks can say, these shows have high ratings. Many people are watching this show out of the entire survey sample size, and many people are watching my show as opposed to another show when the televisions are actually on. And then the people who are saying, well, we'll pay X amount of money for that because we want to see our ads on during shows that have high ratings. Okay? And that's essentially how commercial television stations work. They're built upon advertising. Now, it's changing a little with streaming services and digital stuff, but in general, the old-fashioned way of understanding television ratings and shares is bound up in the idea of a rating is the amount of people watching a show out of the entire survey sample size, and a share is the amount of people watching a television show in the survey sample size of the televisions that are actually in use at that time. Because not everybody's watching television all the time. Okay? That's the main idea. Those are the 2 main ideas for the television section. Okay? I'm going to stop now, and for part 3 of this will come up in a few minutes, and that deals with advertising. Stay safe.